Welcome to the Holistic Success Show. I'm Elizabeth Lozano.
And my name is Dr. Robert Puff. Today we're going to have a doctor coming on talking about kinesiology and how it can help you be whole and healthy.
We're going to be watching some clips from Dr. Puff about goals, and then the other one will be about faith.
And then we're going to have a question about what do you do if your parent is struggling emotionally? How can you be there for them?
And also we'll be answering another question about how to cope with your partner's serious and chronic illness.
Thank you for being here, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Thank you.
In the whole picture of life, how do goals play a role? How do goals fit into being holistically healthy and successful? They're actually very important because if you don't know where you're going, you don't know where you're going to end up. And let me use a couple analogies to prove that point. Let's say you're a captain of a ship and you're leaving LA Harbor and you're headed for Hawaii. You'll aim your ship at Hawaii, and this is what captains do when they're aiming for Hawaii. But all along the way, the wind blows, the currents shift, and you have to make course corrections along the way, or you will not get to Hawaii. You'll never get there unless you adjust along the way. And so goals are like that. They help you make those adjustments along the way. You know where you're going, the goal, but along the way comes things that get in the way of getting there, so you adjust. Similarly, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when we went to the moon, when we were going to the moon in the Apollo missions, they would again aim at the moon. There's the moon up there, I'm going to aim for it. And they shot their rockets off. But along the way, they had to make course adjustments with the retro rockets, those little rockets on the side. Because what would happen is, again, they'd had to adjust for changes and everything that happened. So they wouldn't get there unless they made adjustments all along the way. And life is like that. You need to know where you're going. There are what I call short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. And they can be an array of things. They can be financial, they can be relational. Perhaps you say, I want to find a spouse, someone I can spend my life with. They can be emotional, spiritual. I want to grow in this arena. I really need to develop this skill. And I said they can be short-term too. I want to lose 10 pounds by Christmas. So what you do is you write them down and you periodically look at them because it's important to know where you're going. But where a lot of people get caught with goals is they say they're looking at them all the time or they're thinking about them all the time, which keeps them from living in the here and now. So really it's a balance, that constant sense of balance that we are regularly talking about. You have to balance goals with living in the moment, being present. Both need to be there. Sometimes you look at your goals. Perhaps you'll do it weekly. You'll pull them out and say, okay, what are my goals? What am I heading towards? And the shorter term goals you look at more often. And the long-term goals you may look at less often. You say, okay, am I heading in that direction? Do I still want to go there? But mostly what you're doing in life is you're living here, living now. Because you want to make sure as you go to the moon, as you're going to Hawaii, that you're enjoying the journey. You really want to have a wonderful time on the way there and not just be thinking when I get to the goal, everything I'm looking for will be fine. Because once you reach that goal, you have the next place to go to. So really the ultimate goal, if I may say that, is to live really present today and moving forward towards things that will be good for you. But don't let the goals keep you from living today. So live the day and continue to work forward and grow. Peace.
Our first question comes to us from Laura from San Diego, California. And she writes in, my mother has ended her relationship with her boyfriend of 2 years and is having a very difficult time coping with being on her own. I want to be there for her, but I'm having a difficult time since she's a parent, not a girlfriend. Do you have any advice?
Well, Laura, your feelings make sense to me. I mean, you're having a difficult time because this is your mother who you love, but she is your mother. She's not your girlfriend. And you're dealing with your mother's boyfriend, which is also difficult because he's not your father. So start with that, saying, okay, it makes sense that you are having a difficult time with this, but you love your mother. So what do you do with that? Because your mother also, which makes sense to me, is having a difficult time. And she sounds like she could use some help. Now the question to ask yourself is, can I help her and still be true to myself? Can I do both? And you may not be able to, and that's okay. I mean, do surgeons, when they do operations on a person, do they do it on their own child? No, they don't. So I think it's important to say, I may not be able to be there for my mother. However, I can encourage her. I can encourage her to talk to other people. I can perhaps get her involved with counseling, getting involved with a support group. But it's important to say, I love my mom and I love myself. And so you may have to set what are called boundaries. I'll have Elizabeth tell you a little bit more about boundaries.
And boundaries are extremely important because, like Dr. Puff said, we know that you love your mother, but you do need to take care of yourself. And it may come in the sense of, saying, I love you, Mom, but this is really just a lot for me to deal with. And there are little ways that you could do it. Perhaps you can find some books that are kind of positive with dealing with the ending of a relationship, or just, dealing with loss of some sort, and you can give them to her. Or you just, by setting limits, you just tell her, Mom, it's just really tough for me right now to talk about this with you, or, I love you, but, perhaps maybe you could share this with somebody else. It's not that I don't want to hear it. It's just, it's hard for me. And you need to recognize within yourself when you're hitting that. If you're feeling uncomfortable or you're getting overwhelmed with what's going on with your mom, I know it's hard, believe me, I understand, but you need to set those limits to take care of yourself. And she may not like it, and she may even be upset with you at first, but you have to set those limits to take care of yourself. And I'm not saying don't be there for your mom. Be there for your mom, absolutely. She's been your mom, she's raised you, there's a lot of wonderful things, but there's certain limits that we have to acknowledge. We need to take care of ourselves.
Well, and it's really loving both and. You love her and you love yourself. You can do both, and please do both, because it's a wonderful way to go through life, loving people, and what we so often neglect is loving ourselves.
Yeah. Which is the first thing that you need to do, actually, is to love yourself and take care of yourself. And that's one of the things, even as us, we're therapists. So people in our families and our friends will actually often come to us, which we love you all very much and we love to help you. But there's limits with even us, and we have to set those boundaries too. So set those boundaries and take care of yourself. That's what you need to do. And that's actually the best. You can model that for your mom as well. I know it sounds kind of funny because your mom will be modeling things for you since you were little, but there is that in there too, taking care of yourself.
So, good luck to you.
And thank you for your question. I'd like to welcome this week's guest. Her name is Dr. Sapna Alice, and she is a chiropractic kinesiologist, and she also is a certified nutrition specialist. She has a private practice in San Juan Capistrano, California, with her husband, Dr. Glenn Alice. So thank you so much for being a guest on our show.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about applied kinesiology and how it fits into your practice.
Absolutely. Applied kinesiology is the art of using muscle response testing to diagnose what's going on with the patient. There are different reflex points on the body that are related with different organs. For example, the liver is right here and the stomach is right here. And what we do is when we touch these different reflex points on the body, if there is a weakness in that area, you'll actually have a neurological response and every muscle in the body will weaken.
Okay, so what is that neurological response? Like, what does that look like?
You want me to show you?
Yes, and we actually, I have a lot of food sensitivities, unfortunately, but we have some cookies here. I'm not going to say what kind of cookies. They're very yummy cookies is what they are. It's the unfortunate part. And so why don't you go ahead and do what you normally do, I guess, without the cookies in my hand, and then we'll do it with the cookies in my hand. So I'm holding my arm strong right now.
So her arm is strong. I'm just going to push down. It's a very light resistance, and what I'm feeling for is the muscle, this muscle right here, to just lock. And I feel a nice locking in there. And I'm just going to give you an example of what we do in the office when we check different reflex points. If I were to touch the reflex point for the liver and push down, that's nice and strong. For a weak muscle, we're not going to do a whole exam on you, but just to show an example, we can actually have you hold that cookie in your hand, because we know that you have
three of them here, actually.
So I'm going to push down, and I want you to resist. And you can feel how your arm is weakening there.
It definitely is a difference. So I'm not making this up, guys. Like, actually, I'm trying to hold my arm out the same amount that I was before, and it's definitely a difference. It's pretty crazy.
So that is a neurological response.
Okay.
So if there was a weakness in the liver or weakness in the stomach,